with so many people, then we can see, okay, this person, that his energy is a jealous energy. This person's energy is a resentful energy. This person's energy is whatever. And you can see when what's an inferiority energy. I can get that sometimes. I'm not saying the target will always be right, but I can feel it. If I read a comment and it's all just filled with hatred and it's from Madkhali or something like that, who's been institutionalized and is under the foot of Rabi'a al-Madkhali, then I know where he's coming from. He feels subservient. He feels loyal to a certain man that he has never met before. And if the man saw him, he'd probably not like him, and probably mistreat him, or he would probably tell him to leave his office because of how, from based on the experiences that or the reports that we've been getting.
This tide, and you have people like Mohammed Hijãb and Hamza Sortsis who are thinking on that level, who are thinking on that scale. And that's something to appreciate. That's something to really recognize as doing something, an effort, and constantly improving, constantly building. So Mohammed Hijãb put in terms of legacy. You can put it in terms of vision, having that vision and operating on that level. So when you are thinking and working on that level, do you think like someone saying, oh, your tone in this debate was not exactly what I would prefer. you are not exactly, the most cordial as you could be in this debate or in this video or in this comment. So the people who are nitpicking on that level, it shows the level of their thinking. They're small-minded. They don't have the same kind of vision. They don't have an awareness of the problem, the awareness of the situation that we're facing. Same way it comes to these Madkhali bootlickers. Like these Madkhali bootlickers dedicate their entire lives to tearing down other du'at and trying to create divisions and splits within the Muslim community, not based on halal and haram. No, based on their nitpicking, based on their innovative so-called aqidah that they got straight from the CIA, basically. That's what their whole mission is in life. And you can see, like, what are they actually adding to address these kinds of problems? No, all they can say is don't debate. Yeah, don't debate. Just be good, obedient citizens to the rulers. Like, that's the only thing that they have to offer. So, brother, yeah, so this is the difference between bootlickers, some of these liberal soy boy tone policing. Oh, your tone is not appropriate. Oh, you need to be more gentle and so forth. These are people who are naysayers. They're pessimists who are just trying to drag others down. Let the people who are doing this kind of work and putting themselves out there. Yeah, we're not perfect. We can make mistakes. We're trying to improve. But the criticism that you're bringing is not proportional to the actual problem that we're facing. If you are facing this massive, so Brother Mohammed and Brother Hamza are bringing a lot of fighting analogies. So let me also bring a fighting analogy. You have this army, this huge wave of soldiers coming at you, coming at the Muslims with death in their eyes. They're out for blood. They are coming in waves. And we're facing this as an ummah. And then you have people who are in the back and they're saying, oh, you Muslims in the front, your swords aren't as sharp as they could be. Your swords you're not holding the sword exactly as it should be. These are armchair critics in the back. Meanwhile, you have these du'at who are going and facing the brunt of the enemy. And you're commenting on like how he's holding his sword or how he's holding his shield. Don't you see this kind of tidal wave of opposition? And this is all you can contribute. So this actually does speak to the sincerity. Obviously, we don't know the ghaib. We don't know if these critics are sincere. Brother Muhammad says, the believer has firasa or basira and can tell certain things that aren't necessarily apparent. But But there are hints at sincerity. There are hints at sincerity, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam even gave us certain signs of nifaq. Why would the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a hadith tell us these are the signs of hypocrisy, of nifaq? Why would he give us the signs? Obviously, we can't see in a person's heart to know if they're actually a hypocrite, but there are certain attributes of hypocrisy that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned. Like, for example, someone is in a disputation or an argument and they resort to name calling, they resort to, as opposed to addressing the actual issue. So this is the reality when we look at these armchair critics criticizing the du'at who are on the front line. So again, we're not perfect, we're trying our best, but proportionality, and I think this is what Brother Hamza was referring to. We need to have proportionality in the nasiha, the feedback, and then ultimately, put your money where your mouth is. If what we're doing is so wrong, you do it better. We're all here to watch and observe and see if you can actually do this better, do this kind of work better, inshallah. So person's whole life based on the comment.
Yeah, the good thing about hijab, right? He's not here, so we could say this is, and I think this is the art of his popularity as well, is a sense of authenticity. And I think generally, and I've mentioned this before in the dawah, and this includes many brothers in the dawah, yourself and others. What you see is kind of in a way, like, you have your temperament, you have your persona, and many young men and women actually appreciate that a lot. I think gone are the days where you're going to act as if you've just come from the heavens, you're an angel, your excrement doesn't smell, you've never sworn before, you've never sinned in your life. Especially when it comes to young men, ages of 18 to like 40, they're not going to relate to someone like that because they can't see themselves in that person. And this kind of squeaky clean image, and I've mentioned this before, in some way, especially in our contemporary context, is not helpful to the growth and development of people and for them to actually see themselves in others. And I think a sense of authenticity where you don't have any undeclared negative intentions, and you're going to be at the best version of yourself as possible, but you're going to be you. And that authenticity, I think you could see that a lot in hijab. So when he talks, you could, even when you may think he may say something that may not sound 100%, it's coming from a space of passion, love for the deen, and so on and so forth. And that goes with many brothers as well. So I think authenticity is very important. And that's why if you do an analysis of certain public figures, I think you will see people who come across as extremely squeaky clean. And they may be like that generally, which is great. May Allah bless them. I think they have more female followers. That's the analysis. So a sense of authenticity is very important. But anyway, so
no, I agree. I think that's exactly right. You have some people that are doing dawah and they maybe are very popular. Arguably, most of their followers are women. You can psychoanalyze that, but it's like their entire dawah is like a marketing operation. It's like they have consultants. Sometimes they literally have consultants that will determine, okay, you can say this, you can say that, don't say this, don't approach this subject, don't talk about this. And it's just like a marketing product that they're putting out. And I've heard dawah organizations describe themselves, or research institutes, you can say, describe themselves as just a marketing organization. We're just trying to get the most views, we're just trying to get the most engagement, and it's like a formula. How do we optimize for the most engagement? And it's not like optimization for the sake of a larger goal, like we want to have this positive impact on on the Muslim community and on people's understanding of Islam. No, it's like we want views for the sake of views. And if talking about a certain subject that is politically incorrect is going to reduce our reach and reduce our engagement, then we're not going to talk about it. We're only going to talk about those things that are actually going to increase our reach, increase our audience, increase our followers. That's literally their mindset, because sometimes they're coming from a marketing background, or they actually have like these consultants that are telling them, here are the things that you need to touch on. Here are the things you need to avoid. This is what you need to how you need to dress, how you need to groom yourself to present a certain image on camera.
I mean, if that is done for a noble end goal, then I can see the benefit. But there's also an element of, and I've mentioned this online before, I call it algorithm prostitution. Sorry because it's true. It's, in a sense, you've prostituted yourself to the algorithm just for the sake of the numbers, irrespective of the right type of impact you want to make. And this is very important. And sometimes we all fall for this trap because it just consumes you. But I think if we have the right people around us, we have people who could hold us to account, we have a good private group, and we keep on reminding ourselves about the end goal. Because fundamentally, what is dawah? Dawah is not even just numbers. Dawah fundamentally is that you want Allah's word to be the highest. And this is very important because sometimes we miss that in the discourse. Because sometimes, for example, people may chase shahadas, which we want, of course, we want people to embrace Islam. But they may want to chase shahadas from the point of view that they just want them to be liberalized versions of Muslims. They don't have any greater impact or efficacy, which reminds me of the civilizational type of hadith where the Prophet talked about that, the nations are going to feed upon you, they're going to devour you. And then the Sahaba we're going to be small in number. And the Prophet said, no, you're going to be a lot. There's going to be kathir, there's going to be many, but you're going to be like the foam of the sea. You're going to be like the scum of the sea. And the reason for that, because you have love of the dunya and fear of death. So from that perspective, we have to also see the dawah from a civilizational perspective. That yes, we want lots of numbers, but we want quality as well. We want people who could make an impact. We want people who could, hold on to the true essence of the deen and maintain, normative Islam. And I think you're right. I think, unfortunately, many of us could fall for the trap of the algorithm, but we need to remind ourselves what is the bigger picture. Because the art of dawah is giving people what they need, not what they want.